What's up, guys? A little video here to show off John Romero's latest work. Wait a minute, I'm having major deja vu. That's right, he's at it again. If you remember back in January, John Romero teased that he was warming up his level design skills, and he released a map for the original Doom that replaced E1M4-B he called Tech Gone Bad. I made a couple of video playthroughs of this map and it was really well received. Romero apparently still had that creative touch to make great Doom maps. Well, a few weeks ago he teased an even bigger news item. In a Force Awakens style spoof, he revealed that he was teaming up with Adrian Carmack, who is also a designer on the original Doom games, to make something. And just a few days ago, it was revealed that that something is a game called Black Room, and he's just launched a Kickstarter to get it funded. Now that's all well and good. Actually, it's kind of awesome, but anyway, how shocked was I to see that he was releasing yet another reimagining of a classic Doom map through his Twitter, just recently commenting, "Time for a surprise. This is the kind of classic FPS gameplay I'm promising," meaning he's promising in Black Room. Once again, I fired up Brutal Doom for my first few playthroughs of this map, but once again, depending on which source port you use, which mods you use, the classic FPS gameplay that he's talking about can vary wildly, so speculation about his upcoming game Black Room runs pretty rampant. Now, as for this E1M4-B map, does Romero still have that creative touch? Well, yes, of course he does. Actually, it's pretty freaking brilliant. I think I like Phobos Mission Control more than Tech Gone Bad, if I'm honest. I mean, sure, the guy invented this style of map, but after 20 years, I would have thought that some of that talent, some of that knack would have been lost. I mean, the OG Doom engine has a fair amount of limitations, but in this map alone, Romero uses several different techniques to hide these limitations and even use them to his advantage. There's a room in here that has a dozen or so lifts that are all triggered by crossing different line depths, and these lifts can subsequently take you up into the ceiling and through various ducts all over the room. These little level design tricks make the engine feel much less vertically challenged than it actually technically is. I also noticed that Romero seems very fond of hiding doors by punching them into the walls by just a few centimeters. They're super tough to see unless you're examining the map or you're right next to them. Also, I don't normally like death traps that have no exit, but the deep acid pits in this map are visually very striking, and I really like the architectural detail of the pipes that pour acid into the pits. And again, since you can walk under these, it makes the engine feel much less limiting and even sophisticated. Anyway, enjoy the rest of this Ultraviolence All Secrets playthrough. This is John Romero's E1M4-B in GZDoom using Brutal Doom version 20B with the Doom Metal Volume 4 music wad added for good measure. As a side note, whenever I play a classically designed map like this, I try to make a point to not use jump or crouch to spoil the experience. This is my favorite way to play thus far. But, not to worry, I do plan on posting a classic-style playthrough of this using an older source port in DOSBox. Last time I got a fair amount of viewers complaining about Brutal Doom, and while I love this mod, I also like revisiting Doom every so often in classic-style crunchy resolution, so that video will be happening soon as well. And as always, thanks for watching Dome Candy Games, because video games are like candy for your dome.